What's going on, everyone? How you doing? Beautiful Monday evening. We're going live tonight with Nate Mclean. You guys ready for this one? Just waiting for Nate to get on. Then I will tell you why I'm wearing this goofy hat. I hope everyone's having a good Monday. We are excited to have Nate Mclean on the show tonight. And let's see who we got going in. Your live viewers. We got 2. Alright, don't film me now. Alright, for everyone joining in, I'm just trying to get Nate in here. Give me 1 second. Nate, if you're in here, I'm trying to figure out how to add you. Hope everyone can hear me. Let's see. For some reason, it is not showing up on my thing. Let me... All right, we're going to restart this in 2 seconds here. We're going to restart it really quick. Having some technical difficulties, not sure why. There we go. I see you, Nate. I like turtles too, Jesse. Don't worry, bud. Oh my gosh, is that Jesus? What in the world? What did I get myself into? What's up, buddy?
Oh, you have no clue. I'm just hanging out.
All right, everyone, we got Nate Mclean on. Mr. Clean, 71645321, whatever your Instagram name is. It's got the baddest K10. We're going to give a quick shout out to Shreddy. So anyone that's watching, well, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. For anyone that's watching, go look at our post that we just posted. So Blake Wilkie, Shreddy Life, is giving away this goofy ass hat. That's actually my wife's that she said I have to take off at some point because I'm gonna stretch it out. So you gotta, it's a cross social media giveaway. So you gotta follow at Shreddy Life, follow at the Dirty Dinner Show, tag 5 friends in the live video, and then you gotta comment your Instagram name in the comments. So, thank you, Shreddy. Blake's coming on next week. Hopefully you're as good as Blake is. So.
Oh man, hype.
Put my normal hat back on. All right, that's better. So, what's going on, man?
Not much. Down hanging out with Doolin, getting some work done.
I figured you'd be there for the show. So.
Yeah, I'm down here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays.
Right on. Right on. What's we're waiting for a few more people to get on. We got 5 people right now, so let's see who we got. If you're in here, comment. I think Jesse's your buddy, right?
Yeah, Jesse. He's someone that helps throw CK5 Dune Fest.
Okay. Let me
from Michigan.
While I'm here, let me share this thing really fast too. That'll help bring some people in. So share in a group. Let's do West. Are you nervous?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Is Adam drunk?
Don't mind anything that Dave says. don't read Dave's comments. Dave's probably at home drunk. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's get this thing. Do you guys have any groups that you want shared? that I'm a part of?
I don't know. Probably, I don't know. Are you on the Silver Lake page or the CK5 Doomfest group page?
No, I guess I should have asked you that beforehand, huh? That's okay. We can share them afterwards. So
Okay, that's fine.
let's see. What's going on, Scott? How you doing, bud? Let's see. Got a couple more, and then I think we're good to go.
I'm too broke, Dave. Next year.
All right. For anyone that's joining, say hi to Nate, or we might just call you Jesus the whole time.
You can go, whatever works.
Whatever works,
He's
right?
fine. Jesus.
Jesus. Now you sound like you're from Arizona.
Oh, geez. You can tell I haven't been in the sun in a while. It's been pretty cold here.
You got the is that shirt special for this occasion?
Oh, yeah. I just bought it. We went shopping with my wife. I just got this shirt.
Oh, dude, I have bad news.
Uh-oh.
Not that bad, but I just shared the wrong post to all those groups. All right, let's get this thing kicked off while I'm sharing it. So, Nate was a little worried that if he gave the story, that it would kind of take a long time. And yes, Scott, the stash game is strong with him. So we're gonna let you kind of kick it off by telling us who Nate Mclean is. Got a cool truck. Just tell us about you first, and then we'll go into the truck.
All right. So I've lived in West Michigan my whole life. I've lived here, but I've kind of moved around a lot. I think probably the longest I've lived in, 20 plus houses, but all up and down West Michigan. But was born in Fremont, which is about 40 minutes from the dunes, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm pretty much stuck around the same place my whole life, so I live about 40 minutes from the dunes now. Started going to Fremont public school in like 10th grade, and then that's where I'm at dueling, and pretty much been hanging out with dueling and going to the dunes for the last about 12 years, and that's pretty much it.
So is dueling the one that kind of got you into the dunes?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've only ever been to the dunes once before I met him, and that was when I was a really little kid. And that was only there's a pedestrian park where you can kind of just walk in and watch.
Yeah.
And I remember being there one time as a kid, but barely. And then, yeah, in high school, started hanging out with him and his family, and kind of group camped every weekend, every like holiday weekend. Memorial and Labor Day are the big weekends. So I started going up there and pretty much going. I think I've been up there every Memorial weekend and Labor Day ever since, probably the last 12 years.
Now, did you guys go up this last weekend?
It's closed. It's cold.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, dunes aren't open. We got snow.
So talk a little bit about that. When do your guys' dunes open?
So season's April 1st to Halloween, October 31st. The gates actually close. You can't get in. So the hours changed a little bit. They have 3 different hours. I know early in the spring they close. I think it's at like 8. And then April to September sometime, it's open till 10. I think it's open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then they'll close the gates.
So you can't really actually even camp there.
No, and that's what I think the big difference with Silver Lake is the town around Silver Lake is actually pretty big, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot of campgrounds, a lot of hotels, and lots of restaurants, stores. So pretty much everyone's in town, which is the campgrounds and everything's within a 5-mile radius, I'd say. You got a 5-mile radius of the entrance to the dunes, and everything's kind of located around there. So everyone pretty much hangs out at the campgrounds, and then, yeah, you're in and out all day long.
That's a weird deal because it's, going to the dunes for us is, you're out there for 3-4 days. You're living out of your camper, you're dirty, you're, night rides, and that's just a different world for, I guess, us West Coasters, I guess we could say. So.
Yeah, and I think the big draw on maybe vehicles of like the trucks, and I think it's pretty diverse in Silver Lake as far as what you see. But a lot of it is because a lot of people want to be able to be dune ready, which is a term here. So you can drive in and out. It's just a lot easier. The parking lot's kind of a pain to deal with, and but yeah, it just makes it easier. The campground that we stay at has like a pool. They got shower houses. There's all sorts of stuff to do there. Then there's restaurants all through town and stores, gas stations. So the dunes there's a lot of, I guess, very tourist. There's like a Craig's Cruisers right in town. So you can go-karts at night are pretty popular, bumper cars. There's all sorts of stuff like that to do. And that's all within like a 5-minute drive from the entrance of the dunes.
When we had Chad Banks on a Can you hear me?
It's like cutting out.
Did I lose you?
You're back.
Yeah, I think we hit a speed bump there. So tell Dueling to quit looking at porn.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you now.
He's taking up all the data.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe your welder is knocking out the frequency.
Is it?
It might be. It's screwing up now.
Is it doing it when I'm welding?
I think so. He's welding. I think it's screwing with it. No welding. Quit.
That's probably it.
Yeah, shut it off. Go play on the computer or something. Okay, shut it off. I think we're back. I think that's it.
We cut out again.
All right.
All right, we're back.
I don't think it's either you or me. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's clear. I think it was the welder. That's off.
All right. Let's talk about your truck. Let's
All
kind
right,
of get
I
into
guess-
that.
What do you want to know?
Where did it start? What did it start as? Where has it gone? Was there different stages of it? Stuff like that. Did I lose you
all
again?
right, I don't know. Can you hear me? Yeah, I guess the stage J5.
All right, we're having a little bit of
Forum,
technical
that doing-
difficulties. I think we're going to get Nate back here in a minute.
Oh.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Go
I
ahead
don't know
and try
what's
again.
I don't know what's going on.
Me neither. It was working.
Let's talk about the truck, the shitbox Chevy Smurf, whatever you call it.
All right. So I got the truck. It's kind of just I've always collected a lot of junk like that, and that's kind of how that truck started. It was just a truck that I had found on Craigslist, and it was for sale cheap, and I happened to have some money, so I went and bought it and stuck it in my garage. And at the time, I had my 72 Blazer, which was a brown Blazer that I had, and I was running that at the dunes, so that's pretty much what occupied my time. And also, I was riding bikes a lot, dirt bikes up there, so I actually kind of bought the truck with plans of building like a street truck. I wanted something on the road. And then I got the idea to tear my Blazer all apart, like in the winter one year. And then I didn't want to put it back together, so started looking at other stuff to do to it. And the more I started, I was going to put beams on the Blazer and do pretty much what I did with that to that, but I just thought the idea of doors and a cab and everything like that sounded nice. So I ended up parting out the Blazer and getting rid of that, and then kind of started building that truck. And in the beginning, it was pretty slow. I'd say I probably spent 2 years building it, but it sat at a shop for a little bit of that time, and I didn't have it. And then other than that, I kind of was busy riding my dirt bike quite a bit. I was racing quite a lot. So I pretty much worked on it in the winter. Whatever I could get done, I got done. And then once summer came around, I was too busy to work on it, so it just kind of sat. But then I broke my ankle, I think like 2016, and pretty much kind of stopped the dirt bike riding. And pretty much as soon as that stopped, I needed something to do. So put all my time into finishing that truck and got it done. And kind of where I'm at with that now is just, it's kind of still a work in progress. It's not really done, but it ran and drove, so I went to the dunes.
Now, are you gonna do a hood and are you gonna do panels on your truck, or is it gonna stay pretty open like it is?
No, I just bought a box for it a couple weeks ago, so it's gonna get back to box sides. I got the hood for it. That's gonna go on. It's just the truck pretty much, it was a thrash to get it done, and it got done, and then the whole plan was I was like, well, it's gonna break pretty soon, so I'll go to the dunes, and once it breaks like pretty bad, I'll put it back in the garage and I'll finish it. And then it just kind of never really broke. I kept going to the dunes every weekend, and so I made it to the winter. And now I guess I got to get all that stuff done.
Now, what motor, what tranny, what are some other like key parts that you have on the truck?
So it's a 4.8. I actually bought the motor like 6 years ago, and the only reason it's really in there is because I had it. So I ended up mocking it all up and built it all around that 4.8, and then tore the heads off, and they were all rusted. I didn't do anything with that motor for like 6 years, so still had to build it. So I was sending it out to the machine shop, and then a buddy of mine helped me build it. And the goal is to get a turbo on it. Not there yet. That's expensive. So that's the motor. Got a trans that a local guy built the trans and put that in there. It's a Turbo 400, and then 9-inch is a 9-inch I pulled out of a buddy's mud truck out in the woods and rebuilt that and put in it. It's a very scavenged. I'm always on Craigslist, always looking for deals, always looking for something.
I think that's
collect this stuff.
I think that's what I like about like pre-runners is like you can kind of piece them together like that. You can get everything you want. Where me, I'm running a buggy, like I have to use a certain transaxle. I've got to use a certain shocks. I've got to use, trailing arms that'll work, A-arms that'll work. And so I think that's kind of what I like about like pre-runners is you can finish like the front end and it'll be drivable. It might buck the crap out of you, but you could still drive it, and then you can work on the back end. Or, you can put a 4.8 in it, and if the 4.8 sucks, we'll piece in a 5.3 or a 6.0 in it,
Yep. And yeah, then pretty much like the seats that are in my truck, I think those were the seats that were in my Blazer, and I ripped them out and kept it. And that stuff's expensive to buy all the time. So seems like I like to build things and then part them all out and save all the good stuff, kind of upgrade little by little.
Well, let's say hello to some of the people. I think mostly your fans. You have fans. Did you know that?
Oh yeah.
So we got Rob Cooper Smith, Dave Zimmerman, who Dave's already been. We know he's here. We know you're here, Dave.
Yep.
Ryan Miller.
Yeah, they're all CK5 guys.
Okay. Let's see who else we got in here. Bobby Marcheski was here. He's an Arizona guy. Your wife came. Your wife came to watch you. Matt Moses. So Matt Moses does a page in Arizona here. We got Lukey Dude. He came in. Adam Dooling. I don't know who that is. Colin Kramer. Oprah. Someone's talking about Oprah.
Oh, that's the Blazer.
Okay.
I like naming vehicles. It's kind of I guess all my vehicles have always had interesting names.
Dude, I'm all about that.
I think I really like 50s, 60s gasser area for like hot rods. That's I'm really into that stuff, like 57 Chevys and throwing solid axles on them. And I like all the big flamboyant paint jobs. They all had names and the metal flake. And so I like naming vehicles, and there's been some interesting ones.
So I don't know if you follow. Oh, we got Lauren Morell. Good dude from Oregon. He just popped in. But anyways, what I was saying is, so I don't know if you follow like the C10 crowd, like the street truck crowd, but all those dudes, they kind of name those trucks too. There's actually another podcast called C10 Talk, guy from here in Arizona, and he kind of has all his truck names, and he likes naming trucks. So I kind of like it. So.
Yeah, I'd say I had a truck. Kind of wish it would have got finished, but a truck I was building, it was an 81 long box on 44s on 1 tons, like 15 inches of lift, and that one was called the Rape Grape, but it never got anywhere. I just sat in the back weeds. Maybe someday I'd like to build that truck again, maybe. It'd ride like crap, but that's why I think I parted it out. Kind of got almost done and realized it was going to be garbage. So,
Well, let's we kind of already talked about Silver Lake a little bit. Let's talk about your you've told me about your event that you put on at Silver Lake, but why don't you kind of talk about it?
yeah, Dunes Fest is, so CK5.com is a forum that, yeah, kind of dueling got started on, and was, I think he was on there for a couple of years before I kind of got on, and actually that 81 long box is like the first, I guess, Chevy I bought, so I kind of logged on there and started reading a bunch, and I would have been, I don't know, probably like 20, 21 at the time, and just started kind of talking to guys all over, you know, the country really, and just, that's, I don't know, the forum world. And over a time, most of the guys are rock guys on there, so we were always just in the dunes. And after a couple of years, it seems like a couple of them wanted to come and see what sand dunes were like, so we just kind of invited them, and it kind of just turned into something every year and kept growing. And we're at a point now where it's bigger, and we got to move the location again and just try to account for more people.
So is it just pretty much, and I think you kind of explained to me, it's pretty much a big car show that you guys kind of have out in the dunes, right? You all take your CK5s, 10s, or whatever, and you kind of have a meetup, and then you have like a get-together at your house, you said.
Yeah, it's more of, so a lot of these guys are guys that, you know, have been talking pretty much online for years, and it was kind of the Midwest, there wasn't really like a meetup point. It was pretty much all the guys were going out to like KOH and stuff like that, and a lot of the East Coast guys couldn't get out there. So we started doing the meetup, and it allowed a lot of the West Coast and the East guys to get together, and they kind of meet at the middle in Silver Lake. And so it's more of like a meet and greet, and that's kind of what started it. We spent a lot more time, you know, at my house and hanging out and just kind of catching up and checking each other's rigs out, and then going for the day up to Silver Lake.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of turned into, we got so many people showing up now where it's hard to socialize. There's not much room, and we're kind of out of room. So it's kind of, well, we're going to get it up, get more dune time, and get more up in Silver Lake, and kind of show the guys what Silver Lake has to offer.
Well, what does Silver Lake have to offer?
Well, like I said, so there's a lot of people that go to Silver Lake there's 2 lakes up in Silver Lake. So a lot of people go boating. The jet skiing, that's going on all the time. The dunes, obviously. There's a lot of stuff even around just very touristy cities. Like Ludington is a big destination draw. There's everything's right on the Great Lakes, the Great Lake, Michigan. And there's a ferry that goes across Wisconsin. So I know a lot of people come over from Wisconsin vacationing over and kind of just trickle up and down. So there's a lot of places to stay. I think there's like a vineyard right out of Silver Lake that's like 6 miles away that you can go to a vineyard, and there's just a lot of stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of people that don't spend all day in the dunes. You might only go to the dunes for a couple hours, and then they're off doing something else. So it kind of, every time you go up there, there's different things to experience, and there's some different events going on in town sometimes. They have a car show up there. They have a big Apple Fest up there. Barbecue cookout. There's all sorts of stuff like that.
So as far as the dunes go, what are the biggest difference? Obviously size, but what are the biggest difference between Silver Lake and like West Coast dunes? Let's just say Glamis.
Yeah, the biggest difference, obviously, the dunes. I think we only have 450 acres of ORV area, and it's broken up. When you first come in, it's, I guess, the big hills. Test Hill is the first hill you see when you come in. And those are called the directional hills, which those are only southbound, or there's no northbound traffic, I should say. So you're not allowed to go north, and it's kind of marked off with fences and markers. So it kind of makes the rotation of the dunes like a clockwise circle, I guess. So everyone kind of runs the perimeter, and you kind of have those hills. If you go through them, then there's the exit hill, which is the exit to get out of the dunes, but it also kind of funnels back towards the beach. So you can run through there, come down by the beach. You can park. I don't know, they moved the border because the water's rising, I know, but you can park up against the border, and then you can see Lake Michigan and walk out to Lake Michigan. So that's usually pretty filled up with people parked down there and eating lunch and grilling out, that type of stuff. And then, it kind of circles back around into more directional areas. Down by the beach is like a speed limit. of 25 mile an hour, I think. So if you're on the west side of the signs, you're not supposed to be over 25. If you're on the east, it's pretty much watch out. And that's what I think. It's getting so popular up there, and there's so much people. It's getting a little hectic on like holiday weekends. It's kind of more of a chill and see. Just there's so much stuff up there to see. I don't know numbers, but if I had to guess, on a holiday weekend, you're probably looking at 4,000 or 5,000 vehicles up in there.
That's crazy.
In 450 acres.
Yeah, yeah. What about like drinking and partying? Because I know that's kind of a big thing at Glamis. Is everyone goes out, they ride for the day, and then they come back, hang out, have a few beers.
Yeah, it's still really like so there's only one entrance to get in, and they'll ask if you have a cooler. If you have a cooler, they search it. They'll look through it, make sure you're not bringing glass bottles, and alcohol in. It's not allowed. I believe there's a fine for alcohol. I don't know what the fine is per bottle. I've heard different things, but I don't know the facts. But it's definitely a no tolerance. It's kind of, I know there's some campgrounds up there that are a lot more family oriented, so that's even a no tolerance at campgrounds. But there are campgrounds that are fine with it. There's some that aren't, and it's kind of, there's plenty of options, I think, for everyone, whatever you're looking to do. And that's what kind of makes it nice, because depending on, if you do have a bunch of kids and you are worried about that, there's campgrounds for those people. And then there's other people they want to get out of the dunes and go get wild. They can go get wild, I guess.
Yeah, and that's
But
go ahead.
For me, it's with how crammed it's getting, alcohol would not be a good mix in that type of confined space.
Well, alcohol is not a good mix with riding in general. So,
yeah.
In that small of a space, I can only imagine, the carnage that it would cause with people driving drunk and hitting other people. So,
yeah. I think everyone is so confined in Silver Lake. As soon as somebody's, if there's somebody on a dirt bike or a truck that's jumping jumps or doing something big, it doesn't take long to get a crowd. And then it doesn't get long for a lot of people to start jumping a lot of different things. And then carnage happens all on its own.
Well, that's a cool thing, though, about dunes that small is, it's crowded like that. But the fact that you can grow a crowd like that and people can watch what's going on, we have that at Glamis, with the hill or the drags or stuff like that. But as far as jumping and seeing trucks hit jumps, seeing sand rails and hit jumps, we don't get that a lot because they're so wide open and so big. So,
yeah. And I think it almost seems like it makes it a little safer, because as soon as you do get a crowd, you almost get like a runway of a landing area, and you usually get a flagger on the top, and you get spotters, and it's kind of, people, there's a big mass of people over there. It's kind of avoided, so it almost in a way makes it a little safer at times. And then sometimes it can, depending on the area, it can get out of control. And there's been some pretty big accidents in those cases, but.
So what's the side-by-side movement like at Silver Lake?
I don't know if there's definitely a lot of them, but I guess for me, I don't really see a big, between quads and dirt bikes and side-by-sides and trucks and buggies, it's pretty diversified. Even you see a lot of just daily kind of driver vehicles in there. There's a lot of stock. There's just as many stock vehicles driving around there as there is buggies or anything else. You see minivans in there all the time, cars, all sorts of stuff. Stripped down two-wheel drive cars with no doors on them that people take in there.
Well, and my question about the side-by-sides is I feel like at Glamis we are, it's 10-1 pretty much now. 10 side-by-sides to one, buggy or one dirt bike or quad. And it's just, it's really taken over here on the West Coast to almost to the point where you'll, like I said, 10-1, you'll see them everywhere.
I think the big, the thing that hasn't took off, they were taken off, I think, because they were street legal here in Michigan. So the biggest thing is being street legal. So you can drive from your campground, because really, so the parking lot, if you got to get in the parking lot on a holiday weekend, you got to get a voucher the day before, which there's only so many they give out because there's only so many spots. So you got to wake up, you got to get those. And then if you get one, you've got to get in and park either between 7 and 8 a.m. and then 8 and 9 a.m. So you're up early in the morning getting in. Yeah, if you are up late, it kind of sucks. Whereas if you're road legal and you're just doing ready, you can just drive in off the street and come and go as you please. So when the side-by-sides, they made them illegal to be street legal anymore. And then when that happened, I think it kind of really slowed down here because so many people want to be able to just hop in their whatever they've got and drive from their campground and just drive in and not have to do the whole early morning trailer thing.
Yeah.
And what's kind of held them up. If it comes street legal again, I think, yeah, definitely you're going to see a ton more of them show up.
Yeah. Now, my next question is kind of, the vehicles are different, but social media. Do you think social media has kind of shortened the gap between the East Coast and the West Coast?
Yeah, definitely. I think pretty much all the stuff I watch on social media is West Coast. Obviously I'm up there quite a bit, especially this summer. And so I'm I guess, in tune with what's going on in Silver Lake. And I see a lot of stuff, but, like our off seasons are opposite. So, yeah, you guys are prime time at President's Day weekend. And it kind of fills the void and fills the gap for all the people that are not such snow people.
Yeah.
I'm not a big snow fan, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of I kind of stay indoors, stay in the shop in the winters and think about summer. So that type of stuff is cool. It's cool to see what's going on and watch what's going on and know that a couple more months April 1st we'll be back open.
Well, I'm going to have to be in this my first summer with the Dirty Dinner Show. I'm going to have to lean on you guys a lot this summer to get some good content, which I think is really cool because, even in the winter over here, which is our dune season, it's hard to get people. A lot of the shops are busy. A lot of the people are out there playing for weeks at a time. So, I really think that I could help be a bridge between the East and the West. And, I really hope I can.
Yeah, and I think for me, the biggest thing, like listening to the show, I work at night, and a lot of times I put headphones in with my phone in my pocket. So, I listen to music all night long as soon as I'm there and then until I leave. So it's nice to get that break every once in a while. And I've tried listening to some other stuff in the past, but I'm not into what the show's talking about, or maybe it's a little too off focus for me. So getting that, it's kind of like a weekly thing. You get to hear what's going on, and so that's mainly why I started listening to the show. And exactly, helps bridge that gap.
I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like when I started this thing, though, I really knew nothing about like Michigan or Oklahoma, and so it's been a cool learning experience for me too. Because like I always assumed, in the past years we've seen. Let's use Frank Taylor as an example. They come out to Glamis, and so we just assume they're there with these really nice trucks, these really nice pre-runners. We just assume that they have these massive dunes back in Michigan, and they're just partying it up, and it's just the same.
Yeah,
I never would have imagined it being different.
Yeah, and that's like, so I mean, a big bucket list for me. I would like to this year get down to Oklahoma. So the show last week and kind of listen in. I've looked a little bit online, but just to hear firsthand from somebody that's kind of in the scene down there and get some details on maybe where to go, where to check out, kind of some of the rules before you get down there. I think that's one of the biggest things when we started the CK5 Dune Fest event. We got a lot of guys from other states, and they've never been to anything like the dunes. And the whole time they're just constantly calling and texting us, well, what about air pressure? I'm going to sink. What do I need to have? And it's like, it's not, I think the biggest rules that you've got to have on your vehicle is you have to have a dune flag. I know that's a big thing. We got to have a dune flag on the front of your vehicle, and it's got to be 10 foot off the ground. It's got to be a 5x10 rectangle or bigger. But that's kind of the stuff that the guys are worrying about, and where for me it was always like, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess we've just been going forever. I think I assumed the same thing in that sense. It's like, well, everyone goes to the dunes. You got to have a dune flag. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
All right. Well, let's go through some of these. We have some comments. So I'm going to go back a little bit. So Jeff Ballmer, I don't know if that's someone you know. Jeff Ballmer says, Glamis is a side-by-side nightmare. I'm going to have to agree with Jeff on that one. David Zimmerman, we're going to ignore you. No, I'm just kidding. He said Subies when you were talking about vehicles. So we got Robert
Yeah,
Lopez. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's kind of the car thing. You're seeing a lot more like all-wheel drive cars. You see more of those up there. I think as far as the biggest thing to watch out for, everyone could probably agree with. I don't know how many companies, but there's a couple of companies you can rent vehicles from. And those are the people you got to watch out for. The rental, I think there's rental side-by-sides. They got these little two-seater buggies. They got some 4x4 quads, and they're labeled all up with stickers and numbers. You mean you can tell who they are, but generally try to give those people space.
We go to Mexico a couple times a year, and it's kind of the same thing in Mexico. You know, if you see one coming down the road and it's got rental stickers on it, just pull over. You know, your vehicle's not worth it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think like with the trucks, you know, and it's kind of, because our dunes are so small, like I said, there's kind of like this, I don't know if it's an unspoken but pretty much people run around the perimeter of the dunes because that's the most wide open spaces, and you can go faster.
Yeah.
And so some of that can get close, and there's a lot of, if you get too many people doing it, you kind of separate, and that's where when you see those people in those areas, it's generally, there's people that maybe don't understand that. They're just kind of driving around and don't realize some vehicles are flying through there. But at the same time, it's as much as their space as anybody else's.
So Jeff said at Silver Lake, you're being watched by DNR or cops pretty much the whole time. You're in the park. They roam around. They have four-wheel drive trucks. It's not like Glamis where you could go all day and not see anybody. It's definitely different. So yeah, I'm going to say, Jeff, with that one, that's a lot different now because we have in Glamis now, we have Rangers that are capable of going into the dunes. We have Rangers with Funco sand cars. We have Rangers with four-wheel drive Dodges that drive everywhere. And so, it's a lot bigger area to cover. Obviously, they're not going to go everywhere, but we'll go to the common spots at Glamis, Flagpole. They have a swing set there. There was a plane crash, and you'll see a Ranger there because they'll go back in there and make sure that people are still following the rules, even though they're kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was the DNR episode, because you definitely will. You see them all day long, and they're on quads. They've got a couple Raptors, and they've got some different things like that. But the biggest thing is just, I think it's crowd management is their main focus when stuff definitely can get out of hands at times. And you see some videos on YouTube of some crazy people jumping some crazy stuff that probably shouldn't be. And then someone usually gets hurt, and they're pretty fast to step in and shut it down when that kind of stuff starts happening. But as long as it's kind of being safe, and I think I've never had an issue. I've been going there for 12 years, and I think it's give them the respect. And I don't think they're out there purposely trying to ruin anyone's fun. They're just, if they see something that's, I guess, not cool with them, they're gonna say something.
Yeah. Well, and Shelby, your wife, I'm sorry. Sorry, Shelby. I know you're his wife. She said they're there for for safety, and I think we get a lot of people, especially in Glamis, that get frustrated with the amount of Rangers or BLM that are out there, but they really are. If you're not doing stupid things, then you don't have to worry about being pulled over. So.
Yep. And that's the most of the time, from what I see, and even friends that I know have been pulled over. A lot of times it's, there's areas where you're not supposed to cut through, or don't drive through here. You got to go around, and people do it to get away with it. And I've had, it happens, and then they come over, hey, that's not a rule. Don't do it. Send you on your way. So yeah, it's definitely not there to pick on. I don't know. I've had to been hauled off by the DNR with some help of them. So I thank them. I've been busted up out there a time or two.
All right, Jeff and David, I'm not ignoring your guys' comments, but I'm tired of talking about cops. So let's go back to Danielle Ray. I think that's Luke's girlfriend. I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, I think that is.
So, Danny, it says, Nate, name your favorite pre-runner and why, besides your own.
I think that's Brad Yost, the jalapeno. That's one of the first trucks I remember really watching. And it was just bright. Every time he was up there, you always saw him. So that's one of the trucks that always – I guess when when I first started seeing pre-runners and stuff coming up there, I don't even know what I had. I might not even had anything. I was mainly on a bike, and that's pretty much all I did. But then you started seeing a couple more of them show up, and about the time I think about Luke came out really, and I know the guys came out and they did some filming from California, and that's kind of when that was the truck that always stood out.
Yeah, and I have to say, so a guy named Connor reached out to me to get Luke on the show, which is kind of how I came upon you. I would have to say, like, Luke and your truck are probably my favorite. So that's being from the West Coast, where we have a lot of nice trucks over here. But
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of people just building everything. Like I said, there's a lot of cars that are just stripped down cars, or even Jeeps, trucks, get some roll cages thrown in, or even, just budget builds really, just people just starting somewhere and seeing what they can build.
so David says, talk about dune recovery.
About what?
Dune recovery. All right,
I don't know if
we'll
that's
skip that one,
sporting
David. David, are you drunk?
Yeah, I don't know it.
Towing?
Oh, is he talking about towing maybe? Getting out of the dunes?
Yeah.
That might be. So I know one thing, if you break down, like the entrance is a big problem. So there is only one entrance, and it's single file line to get in. So if you break down and you can't get out of the way, they'll come and they'll tow you and give you a bill. So,
Oh, jeez.
but I mean, it's gotten to the point where if that breaks down, it will make the line on the road turn into hours of wait because one person broke down.
Yeah.
So getting them out of, and there's usually a lot at a time. If somebody's up in front with a truck that wants to hook a strap to them and pull them up through the entrance, I mean, they're fine with it. But if you're in the way and you can't get out of the way, they're going to get you out of the way to keep the line moving. I think the biggest problem with the lineup is, so the dunes are patrolled by the DNR, but the road is still patrolled by the cops. But the problem is the line of vehicles out on the roads can get so long at times that you get cops and DNR involved, and it's just so many people on the road, and they're really trying to get people in the dunes or out of the dunes.
Yeah. So we went back to cops again. What do you like seeing out in the dunes other than pre-runners?
I don't know. I'm a bike fan. I've been riding bikes my whole life, so there's a lot of dudes that go up there and send it pretty big and do some big jumps, and I like watching that stuff.
You're
and then
I'm reading comments. Sorry.
Other than that, I just like watching stuff that maybe shouldn't be out there. I think a lot of people like that stuff. That can tend to draw a crowd pretty quick. You get a dude that's smashing water holes, and pretty soon the motor's hydrolocked, and there's a big crowd cheering, and that type of stuff happens all the time. Carnage.
Richard says Nate likes 6.2 diesels in the dunes. I feel like there's a
yeah, they're perfect. They don't make it up any of the hills, so you just drive around really slow. Richard's a CK5 guy. He owns a lot of 6.2s, and he came out from Boston, Massachusetts, first year.
Boston.
Couldn't make it up any of the hills with his Jeep, or with his Blazer, not a Jeep, with his Blazer. So he was all bummed with his 6.2. He's got to get some more horsepower.
Let's see. So this is from, where was it? Adam. Oh, I read that one. So Jeff Ballmer's put some good input in. He's talking about like parking and how things are improving at Silver Lake. They're going to widen the entry lanes. They're going to hopefully put in more trailer parking. Let's see what else we got.
Parking's the biggest thing. Actually, so this year, there's a voucher center area that's like, I don't even know what it is, half mile down the road from the entrance. But the problem, the connecting road is, it's a road, and they made it so ORVs can drive on the side of that road this year, and they're going to use that parking as an additional parking. So that should help with some of the parking, but at the same time, it might just make the place even busier. I don't know. It's the first year they're going to do that, so I think everybody's kind of waiting to see how it works, if it works well. Hopefully it works well.
Well, is there anything else that you kind of want to talk about in regarding the dunes or kind of, about Silver Lake or about your truck or anything like that?
I don't know. I think the only other big things with the dunes that I know for people like that aren't from around here is maybe like the sound level and the spark arrestor thing.
Talk about
That's
that.
a big deal.
Talk about that.
So the spark arrestor thing, or the noise level, it's only a 94 decibel noise limit. So there's a lot of people that are having issues, and I think it was kind of something that got laxed for a lot of years. There's definitely stuff way louder in there, and then it seems like in the last year there's no rule changes, but it's just been enforced more. So a lot of people that have been in the dunes the last few years all of a sudden now can't take the same vehicle in, so they've got a lot of people had to put new exhaust systems on, and no glass packs. You got to have a spark arrestor, so it's got to be a chambered muffler, or a turbo counts as a spark arrestor. You got to have something. So that's, I think, a big thing that I don't think necessarily out west that you guys have to deal with.
No, I mean, we got some vehicles out here that are pretty gnarly and open header, open no muffler, stuff like that. There's really there's no sound limit on vehicles. There's no sound limit in the camping. I mean, you can get the dun 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 music all night long out here. I don't know if I should have said that, but I don't care. So,
the noise. And there's actually you can drive around the dunes and see houses that are just on the other side of the barrier. So a lot of that there's a city ordinance just because there's residential so close to the dunes, and that's also why there's the season. There's an open and a closed season because of the residential areas.
Long travel weekend and pre-runner invasion.
Yeah, I think so. Those are, I guess, 2 weekends. It seems like the trend the last couple years has gone to there's your big holiday weekends, which are Memorial, 4th of July, and Labor Day, and those are always the big weekends. But it seems like now every weekend is just as busy as the next, and there's a lot of that is because there's groups. I think a lot of that I think is social media and forums and people just starting to meet up. That it's like, there's the pre-runner invasion is always, I think this year it's like 2 weeks before Memorial, and it's you get a lot of the guys that have pre-runner style trucks try to meet up at the same time and get there all the same weekend. Because really, anytime you go up there, I live close enough to where I drive up there with my trailer on a Saturday morning, and then I'll drive all day, and then I'll drive back to my house and sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't have the luxury, like Tyson and Luke and all those guys that I kind of run around with, they live 2-3 hours away. They still come quite a bit, but it's not as convenient maybe. So that it's just nice that you get a lot of the same type of people. Long travel weekend's probably one of the biggest weekends of the year because you get the most people that come out that weekend, and they'll line the sand cars up, and I generally tend to stay away. It's pretty busy. I don't fit in. I'm not a buggy.
Well, and like watching the comments come through, that's one thing I notice about. It seems like you guys have a lot more events out there because, like, really in the West Coast dunes, it's hard to put together an event. They had Huckfest that did 1 year at Pismo, but other than that, at Glamis, really the only event at Glamis we have is Camp Razor. And so it seems like you guys are able to put on some cool events, like the CK5 group and the Pre-Runner Invasion, Long Travel Weekend. Someone else just said Baja Bug Me and Apple Fest, It's cool that you guys can actually get together because the thing about that, too, is, if someone, it kind of, I don't want to say drives people away from the dunes, but if someone knows they're at an event that weekend, they might go another weekend. So, I mean, that's what's kind of cool. Where here, holiday weekends are just a cluster. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really, I can't. It seems like anymore now. There's every single weekend there's a roundup or there's an event. There's something going on up there, and it's just. I started getting into the dunes right around like 2008, 2009 is when I started going. So that was kind of economy wasn't doing so good. It was kind of empty, But at the time, all I had was like a dirt bike, and I was just starting to work and get money to be able to go up there. So I've watched it over the last, I guess, since then. It's just grown and it's gotten busier. Things are doing well again, and people are out spending money and kind of back doing stuff they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's, the social media that's out nowadays and how people can connect. And the biggest thing I think with our event, it's not actually an event we hold at the dunes. To hold an event in the dunes, you actually have to have a license. You got to have insurance. There's stuff you got to follow. And that stuff can get expensive. So our event has always been off property, and that's the big reason for doing it. And then it's just pretty much here's us hanging out and then head to the dunes.
Yeah.
Whereas like the lawn travel weekend, that's usually a big deal. They got blow up inflatable things for kids down there. They got big grill pits in there. They got food. They got all sorts of stuff going on. And same with Heroes on the Dunes. That's another cool event. I got to do that this year as a driver. So that's Operation, I think, Wounded Warrior, I think, helps put that on.
Okay.
And they put that on and bring I think they brought over 300 vets this year and family members into the dunes and shuttled them into the dunes, and then just gave rides. I think for 3 hours straight, my truck was running, just running laps, putting people in it. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Like, I like to see events like that, whether it's where it's for like a purpose, like even though your CK5 event isn't a licensed event, it's more of a meet and greet. I like seeing events like that where I don't feel like we don't get a lot of that here. And I'm working on it with some people to do stuff like that. But another thing I'd like to see is, and it would be crazy, but where there was a certain group that did kind of a dirt tour, I think it'd be really cool to do like a dirt tour across the country. Get a group of guys together, do some filming, hit you guys, hit Little Sahara in Oklahoma, and I think we definitely still have a lot to do to get the East and the West Coast together. But that's kind of a goal of mine. A bucket list item is to be able to kind of come out there, see you guys' stuff, get some footage, and just kind of show, the people on the West Coast that you guys aren't joking over there. It's the real deal.
Yeah, and I think the hype seems like it's bigger than ever. It seems lately. Like Luke with his, the thing he's trying to start with Dialed, and I think the biggest thing, it's kind of funny. So I'm not one that kind of puts myself. I don't take a lot of selfies or stuff like that. So going to the dunes, I park my truck. People are coming and checking out, but they have no clue who I am, and I'm the same way. I know every truck that's up there, buggy that's up there. You start describing something to me, and I know I've seen it, but I have no clue who owns it, no clue what they look like. So the stuff that he's doing with that, I think that's cool. Your show is doing the same thing with the West Coast guys. You see these pictures and you see it, but it's just like you don't know anything, and it helps to just give a better perspective. For
sure. I shouldn't have said you guys weren't joking, because now I'm getting the hate in the comments. Do it for Dialed.
I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe it's, and maybe I'll get the hate, but maybe it's like that. I feel, we're behind. The industry is definitely, off-road industry is definitely Southern California. That's where the headquarters for everything is. So, obviously everything's big out there, and it's going to be pushed a lot more than here.
Yeah.
But I think people are kind of catching up, and it's kind of what everyone's into nowadays is what's going on and what's the newest thing. And there's a big push, it seems like lately, to kind of, what's going to be the next big thing at Silver Lake.
I got one more question for you, and then we'll kind of go into these quick and dirty questions. I guess and this is something that me and Dueling have actually been talking about the last couple of days. What is something, us from the West Coast, we're pretty blessed, Arizona, California, Nevada, we have shock tuners, we have motor builders, stuff like that, where we could, it's pretty much a one-stop shop within 6 hours of where I live. What is something that kind of holds you back maybe in Michigan as far as like building vehicles or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think, definitely the biggest thing is, the industries in California. I know when I built my truck, there was things, and, I would spend a lot of time, this stuff's expensive. So I worked a lot of hours and would spend weeks saving money and then go to call a part. And it seemed like more than none, it was always like, if they found out I was from Michigan and like, well, I want to know about, it's almost like, well, you're kind of a pain to deal with because I got to deal with shipping and, to get, for instance, the fenders the fenders, I got some fiberglass fenders, and that was like a 3-month deal of the fenders that got shipped to me were the wrong ones. So then I had to call and they took care of it. And it was like, okay, well, we'll send a box to send them back. And then, by the time I ordered them, got them. And I don't blame the company for that. It's just logistics of what it is. But
Yeah.
And ultimately they showed up and there was a little crack. There was a crack in the one. And I called them and it was like, well, yeah, we'll replace them for free if you want to cover the shipping. Well, shipping was $500. So I was like, I'll fix the crack. It is what it is.
Now, what would it take to get like more parts to you guys? Like, I mean, out here we have like a car tech. Like, would it be worth it for someone who's in this industry, say they wanted to move to Michigan and open a big part shop? Would it be worth it for someone like that?
I think the only problem with it is I think that we're a season. And that's the thing that I think people struggle with but from my experience in the history that I've had the dunes, there's a couple stores that are right at the entrance of the dunes. You can see them from the parking lot. And it seems like most of the times when I have issues and I'm breaking parts or I need stuff, I'm driving, there's the nearest town that has part stores is 15, 20 minutes away. And I can never drive in 20 minutes away to a part store. So I think there's potential for that, but I think the logistics of everything is the fact that we got to be closed 6 months out of the year and the place is a ghost town. So
yeah,
I know there's a lot of stuff changing up there right now. There's some new ownership on some buildings. One of the buildings right close just changed the ownership. So there's rumors floating around of what everything's going to be, but it's exciting I think there's people that are getting interested. They want to see change and they want to see it grow, and hopefully someone comes in and kind of pushes that.
all right. And I think that with the, sorry, I was reading one of the comments, but what I was going to say is I think that definitely you guys aren't going anywhere. And you say like it's a season, but technically out here off-roading is kind of a season too. And so I think it would take the right person, that wanted to maybe have a shop out here to open a shop out there as well.
Yeah, and I think I guess I should stand, because really, if my truck's not broke in the summer, I'm going to the dunes.
Yeah.
So if it'll run, I'm going. And that's why I think, Luke's asking if I'm going to put a windshield in. I'll get there, but I didn't have a speedometer, so I left the windshield out so I knew how fast I was going. So.
Well, your wife says yes. I think that means you need to.
Yeah, she's not a fan of no windshield. But I think if there was somebody that did put a parts store, winter time is my time to fix stuff and rebuild and change. And I would like to spend my money locally if there was an opportunity. There really hasn't been. There's stuff scattered around Michigan, but as far as supporting something in Silver Lake, like I said, I know there's stuff changing around and some new ownership and some new places, and we'll see what happens. But I definitely am looking to, if it was a matter of in the winter of just ordering some parts through someone locally, that's, I'd be down to do that to make it happen.
Luke said, keeping it patina.
Even if, Well, I spent the last 6 months looking for an exact color box, and I found one. So
there you go.
I'm too cheap for paint, so it was easier to find a box that's already the same color.
Hey, there's a pretty good painter out there. Lukey dude, I think is his name.
Yeah, he's too busy. Knowing that I got to figure out something to do with the white fenders. That's the biggest. Yeah, I don't know. You can't please nobody. That's why I left it bare. I didn't worry about it. I feel like all summer long when people come to see me, the first thing, when's the hood going on it? When's the glass going on it? I don't know. It's too much fun right now. I don't want to work on it anymore. That's pretty much where it's at.
Well, that's where it's at. And as long as you're out there playing, taking the wife out, having fun, showing that thing off, that's what it's about,
Yep. Yeah, and I'm a type of person when, I'm pretty much stepping away from bikes full time at this point. I just can't do it anymore. And for me, I'm someone that's very, I have to focus my time on something, something that I'm passionate about. And I think the truck never really happened because I was focused on racing and the bikes. And now age you get a cage, and that's where I'm at. So kind of stepping away from that. And, and to be completely honest, it's not something that I really hold back and I think about. It's just something that's, it's just on to the next thing. I have just as much, if not more fun in that truck than I do ever on a bike. And partly because sometimes I feel invincible. You got tubes around you and it's just like, wow, this is way nicer than getting smoked on a starting line by some dude T-bone you.
Yeah, and I'm slowly getting back into the bike thing because we're gonna outgrow our buggy here, but it's definitely a different world.
Yeah, and Silver Lake's no joke on a bike. I don't think I've had times where I've had to drop a bike on the backside of a hill because I ran out of gas, and a sand car's doing a wheelie down the hill and ran my bike over, and I jumped out of the way. I mean, it happens, but it's part of it. You're a little safer in a vehicle.
All right, and Danny says Shelby can follow you on her dirt bike.
Yeah, my wife got a bike, but I don't know. She took a spill on it last summer, and I don't know if she's too pumped on that anymore. She's kind of she's like a one and done. I've been knocked around a little bit more, but she's ready for a cage too, I think.
Well, all right, man. Let's do these quick and dirty questions. Hopefully, we'll get some. Here, I'm gonna change my hat back for these ones. We're gonna party.
Okay. I wrote some down to ask you too. I got some dirty questions for you.
Who's going first?
Oh, they're good.
Are we switching off?
Oh, that's why I said. I don't care. Who do you want to go first? I can go first. I'll ask you.
Okay.
We'll switch it around
Okay.
since you got that hat on. I even have a notepad. Look at that.
Look at that.
All right, so I want to know, since I am big in bikes, who's your favorite rider? Your bike.
Jeremy McGrath.
McGrath. Why McGrath?
I don't know, man. Because when I first got into Supercross, I just really like Jeremy McGrath. I also I love Kevin Windham because I think he's badass and I think he should have won a championship. But I have a soft spot for Roxon because my son's name is Roxon.
Okay.
I have a soft spot for Deegan, the Deegan family, because my daughter's name is Deegan. And I have a soft spot for a South African rider called Tyler Rattray because my daughter's name is Tyla. So.
Okay. Well, I knew your kids were named after them, so I wanted to know.
Well, I tried to name our boy McGrath. My wife shot it down. So.
That's a little blunt. That's forward.
Yeah. So.
All right. C10. What's your dream? What's the C10 you want?
Ooh. Well, you're gonna make fun of me, but I have a dream to build a crew cab long bed dually square body, like a 73 to 78, that front end, slam it to the ground on 22.5-inch semi wheels, fire engine red, no tint on the windows so everyone can see my badass family riding around in it. I would love to have one with a 12 valve in it, 12 valve with a stick. That's what I'd like to build. So.
Now you should pay attention to Dave. Dave's got a sweet crew cab with a Cummins swap he's building.
All right, Dave. Well, if you ever want to sell it, I'll drive out to Michigan. Give me a good excuse to go to the dunes. So, but
yeah, there you go.
I used to love single cabs. My first truck was a '86 C10 single cab short bed. Awesome truck. Never should have sold it. But then when I couldn't quit having kids, I realized I was gonna have to get away from single cab. So.
Yeah.
So
I'm still single cab.
Yeah.
Keep 2 seats. All right, I got the last one. What's your hidden talent?
Oh, dude, I'm not very talented.
There's something. Everybody can do something.
I don't know, man.
I'm pretty good at making pancakes.
I don't know. It's not really a talent, but it's kind of what my life revolves around. Like, I guess I'm a pretty good dad. I don't want to go all like sappy, but like that's kind of my hidden talent is like I'm a pretty badass dad. So
Well, there you go. It works.
I'll think about that while I'm asking you yours. So
Okay.
I
That's all I got. I'm out.
I know Dueling's gonna think of something else. So
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He's been walking around.
all right, so let's talk about that hair, man. Long hair, short hair, spiky hair, flat hair. It seems like you change your hairstyle more than some girls.
Yeah, I think my wife yells at me a lot for taking too long to get ready. It's just the mustache. You got to get it combed all out right, otherwise it's in your mouth. It's just a pain. But no, I don't know. I think the hair is kind of always back. Growing up, I went to private school, Christian private school, and I kind of was the kid. I don't know. I was kind of like the troublemaker kid, always kind of pushing the rules. So I showed up and I had long hair, so they made I didn't look clean cut enough, I guess. So they made a haircut rule, and all through school until I got to public school in 10th grade, I always had to have really short, kind of combed over hair, and kind of got to public school and it was like, all right, I just gonna, I guess, let it go and do its thing. And then I started swimming in high school, and I had pretty much not quite the hair I have now, but slows you down in the water when you're swimming quite a bit. So I started shaving my head, and I think I did that for 4 or 5 years. Every spring I'd shave my head and then grow it out for a year. So I
Not
don't know. It's just,
not to sound gay or anything, but I swam in high school too.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Dude, I love
No, and I understand
dueling.
the hair thing.
I got doing to join the swim team with me. We were in German class and we were looking for something to do after school, so we went and joined swim team.
Dude, the only reason you asked Dueling to join it with you is so you could see him in a Speedo. So.
Oh, we didn't need to go to swim practice for that.
Well, I guess that goes right into my next question. Would you consider yours and Dueling's relationship a bromance?
Oh, it was love at first sight. I don't remember time. I don't remember time there was an awkward stage. I think we were just friends.
What does your wife think about Dueling?
It's shared time. No, I don't know. I think my wife obviously is, I spend a lot of time with her, but yeah, she's kind of, Dueling's been around forever, and it's kind of, with high school was different. We were obviously not living on our own and stuff like that and doing other things, but, as you get older, you got life, and we've always managed, it seems like now lately with the kind of working together is kind of how we spend time, still with each other and up to date with what each other's doing. So, he's got his full-time job, I got my full-time job and our other life, and then we kind of got the dunes, and that's always been something where, he's always helping me on my stuff, I'm helping him on his stuff. Yeah, package deal.
Dave says a package deal. I think he put it perfectly right there. All right, so I got two more questions for you. What's your end goal for the truck?
Right now I don't really know. Right now it's just make it as good as what I can make it. I like to go fast. That's why I built what I built. I want to go as fast as something can go, and that's kind of why I probably end up in the hospital too many times on a dirt bike, and I need to step away from that because I'm not really a person good with throttle control. And that's kind of, a lot of people ask me why the 4.8. One of the big reasons the 4.8's in there is because I can't have power. If I put power in that truck, I'd already have wrecked it. So I need something slow. So right now I can drive that truck pedal to the floor and just smash gears, and I think I can get the thing better yet and make it go faster. And ultimately my goal is to go racing. I don't know if it's going to be in that truck or not, but I want to go out west and go racing. So kind of racing is what I want to do. And yeah, my wife says rev limiter. She loves the rev limiter. That's my favorite thing. So I don't have gauges, and I tell my wife, she's always asking me why it's on the rev limiter all the time. And I told her so I know what RPM I'm at, because I know where my rev limiter is at. Other than that, I don't know. But yeah, that's my ultimate goal. I don't know if that's what I think. The social media stuff. I watch a lot of racers, and I kind of see what the guys are doing out there, and it's, I don't know if I want to build something new or take that thing out there, but eventually, yeah, whatever it is, I want to go racing.
That's a pretty good angle. So
Yeah. The hard part is I live in Michigan, and like the races are like 1,400 miles away. So
dude, all I hear is
the first part.
all I hear is excuses.
Well, I'm working on it. I'll just say that. On my income, I can't do it, but I'm working on it. As soon as I am able to, you'll see me on the West Coast.
All right, last question. This is a tough one. What do you think I could do differently with these live shows or with any of my shows?
The podcast, you can do more of them.
The Wednesdays?
Yeah. I got to be honest. So there was a couple weeks ago I missed like three. I broke my phone, and then I got a new phone, whatever. But I missed like 3 of them, so I went to work, and I actually worked all night long and caught up. And it was, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like binge watching them because you listen to, I don't know, it gives you something through the whole night rather than the hour, 2 hours that they are. But that's just me. Some people don't like to listen to dunes for hours on end. So, no, honestly, I don't know. I don't think I have any improvement. I think, everything you're doing is cool, and I'm interested in it. And this is something, for me, the dunes are a big part of my life. They always have been. My wife, we met at the dunes. Our first date was at the dunes. I proposed her at the dunes. So, we're both she's still just as involved in the dunes as I am. And it's cool to, you just don't get that many people around you, maybe in your everyday life that are that way.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of people that just think I'm crazy because they don't, maybe understand it.
I hear you.
So it's nice to have outlets to kind of, okay, well, I'll keep my mouth shut, but I talk to my buddies online that they want, they might be a little more interested in the random coworkers that don't.
They're like, I get people that say, you spent how much at the gas station for 4 days?
Yeah. Well, the thing for me, like, I show up to work, I'm eating ramen every single night. I don't, I live a pretty cheap life unless it comes to truck parts. It seems like you don't, and it kind of seems that's the way everybody is. As soon as it's like vehicle and making it to the dunes that weekend or not, no matter what, it's got to happen. We'll cut something else out. So, and yeah, a lot of people don't get that, I don't think.
No, and I understand that, our, kind of going into my personal life a little bit, me and my wife are both, we're trying to figure out how to balance, going to the dunes more because that's good family time for us versus, buying shoes for kids for school or buying backpacks. And so it's kind of, we get it. And I understand, it's still a hobby at the end of the day. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this podcast is make that hobby a little bit cheaper, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's any cheaper. I don't think so. I think it's getting more expensive, but
yeah, I think it's getting more expensive.
Well, all right, man. I really appreciate you coming on here. This was a good one, long one. I think we went into a lot of things, and I hope you like how it turned out. I hope you had fun because I don't think it's going to be the first one. Next time we're going to have to get you and dueling on it together probably.
I don't know about that. I was nervous about even doing it at the shop because I didn't know if I could take it seriously. Yeah, it might make for some interesting time.
Well,
that could be good.
It's not going away. Just so for the listeners, people that are still tuned in, it's not going away. We're still doing these live shows. See dueling in the background. We're still doing the Wednesday shows. I'm trying to bring you guys East Coast, West Coast, as much as I can because this is a passion for me. And, talking to guys like you, not only do I love, old trucks, old Chevy trucks, but, it's just, I like hearing your story. You're a normal dude. You're like me. So that's kind of what I was trying to incorporate with these live shows.
Yeah, that's what's cool. I think the biggest thing I think is just the perspective is, I don't get a ton of people messaging me, but I get people messaging me, what did you do to build that? Or how did you start? And it's, and I like to talk to those people, but a lot of times it's almost like, it seems like the thing is like, It just seems the perception is usually off until somebody messages, and that's the, with reading text and reading social media, it's kind of contextual, and it's you take it how you interpret it. So something can be interpreted ways, and it just kind of explores. So all the different outlets, the videos, it just helps people, I think, keep it in perspective. The biggest thing for me is, I've got parts on on my truck that I've had for 6 years. It's not like I don't make a ton of money. I can't go out and just buy all this stuff at the drop of a hat. But everyone's different. Some people can, some people can't. But, the biggest thing is, if that's what you're going to do, then do it. It's hard watching the other people around you doing all the cool stuff, and then you're in Saturday in your garage building your own stuff. But you make it through with it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I understand. So.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, with that, I think I got to give you one of these.
Oh, yeah. You got to get the sign.
All right, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk later.
All right. See you, man.
Later, man.